Morning folks, it's our first stretch onto Namibia. This has been a long time in the making, and safe to say I'm quite excited. We drove for about 8 hours yesterday just to get to Kama, just a quick stopover. Today we on to Moan. We'll be sleeping over at Sitatunga camp, haven't been, and then on to Shakawi, also haven't been, and then on to Namibia, so I'll catch you on the flip side. Kama Rhino Sanctuary is usually the beginning of an epic Botswana overlanding trip, but today we're heading to Namibia. I'm joined by Ed and Ryan again for this month-long expedition. We'll be travelling to Namibia via central Botswana, into Namibia via the Caprivi, travel along the Kunene River to Kouakaland, down to the Marienfluss, visit Etosha, and return via central Namibia and western Botswana. This stretch of the journey isn't the most scenic, and we're trying to cover as many kilometers as possible to get to Namibia. It's a 1,500 kilometer trip just to get to the Mohemba border post. We arrived just in time for a stunning sunset in Moan. I don't recommend driving at night in Africa. Sitatunga is just outside of Moan. We at Sitatunga camp. The drive was long. We left at 7 and we arrived at 7, so it was a good 12-hour day. Lots of interesting drivers on the road, and lots of livestock, so always be careful on Botswana roads. But yeah, happy to be here. Eh?
How peaceful and quiet is it here?
Yeah, it's like
Sorry boys, I don't know what happened.
Turns out they just finished a motocross race, but the festivities quieted down a little later at least. Sitatunga is still the best stopover camp in Moan, in my opinion. We'll no doubt be back here again soon, and hopefully I can show you around a bit more, but this morning it's time to hit the road again early. On our way to Shakawi this morning, I couldn't show you much about Sitatunga, unfortunately, because we got here at night. Had a 12-hour drive yesterday, so yeah, quite a tough drive. Another long drive to Shakawi today. The road apparently is really bad, so we're probably looking at another 6 hours, but we want to stop at Sedila Hills if that's possible. So I'll see you later. As reported, the road's not great, but we've seen worse. It's only a 360 kilometer trip up the A35, but because of the current road conditions, this can take up to 4 to 5 hours to complete. Watch for wide shoulder sections. This is usually a good indication that it's time to leave the tarmac. It takes a good 6 hours with stops to reach Shakawi River Lodge. The lodge is around 20 minutes away from Shakawi town, and you'll find it easily with Tracks for Africa. What a welcome sight after such a long drive. The lodge is located right on the banks of the Okavango River, and the views are stunning. We soon set up at camp after some lunch. We've reached Chikawe River Lodge after another long day's drive. The Chikawe road is really bad. It's very potholed, and a lot of sections you have to actually get off the tar because there's so many potholes. You have to drive on the shoulder, but not bad. So some tough drives getting into Namibia from South Africa, especially if you're going to northern Namibia. Chikawe River Lodge, really nice campsite. A number of campsites have great river views. The sites are pretty spacious and there's lots of shade. Each site has a braai, electrical outlet, bin and water tap. The ablutions are great. They feature flushing toilets and hot water showers. There's also a scullery for washing up. The lodge itself is quite luxurious. There is a restaurant with in and outdoor dining areas and a lounge. There's also a very nice boma with fire pit, as well as a swimming pool with a great view of the river. Yet another amazing African sunset to end off the day.
Try and get more of those us in situation shots.
Stunning campsite. Bird life is...
It's great sleeping and waking up right next to the river. Going for a boat ride a little later on, quite looking forward to that. Really nice campsite, as I said. They've got very nice facilities at the lodge as well. If you don't want to camp, there's some really nice chalets, there's a swimming pool, there's a restaurant, there's Wi-Fi, so a nice break from bush camping. The best way to explore the area is undoubtedly by boat. Boat rides can be booked at the lodge. Your guide will show you kilometers of amazing riverfront scenery. You can also expect to see great bird life in the reeds and on the shore. Chikawe is one of the few places where you can still find the Pel's fishing owl, as well as many other species like these African skimmers. This area is great for fishing as well, especially tigerfish. This was definitely one of the best afternoons of this trip. We've had an amazing 2 days at Chikawe River Lodge and I can highly recommend it. Today though, we're entering Namibia. We're entering through the Mahemba border post and then taking the B8 to Rundu, where we'll restock and find camp. Chikawe is also our last fuel stop in Botswana. It's a short 20-minute drive to the border post. We're soon through the border and on Boboatwa National Park's dirt roads. We're thinking of staying here or Nambwa on our way back.
We soon hit the P8. It's surprisingly busy for a rural area. We're starting to see a lot more overlanding traffic now as well. We reach Rundu some 4 hours later, where we restock on meat, fresh produce and wood. We've only pre-booked Etosha for this trip, so we find other camps through recommendations, Tracks for Africa and iOverlander. We're staying at Taronga Safari Lodge tonight. We were supposed to stay here for 2 nights, but the campsites are a little tight and no river views. Considering this and the fact we'd like to get to the Kajakaveldt, we decide to push on.
We made it to Rundu yesterday, late yesterday afternoon. We had to stock up and we stayed one evening at Taronga Safari Lodge. I can't really show you much because it was late and it's another early morning. We are on our way to Umbalantu Baobab Tree Campsite, which is sort of halfway between here and Upupa Falls. 6-hour drive, so another tough one, and then another 6-hour drive tomorrow, so no shortage of driving here.
It's a 6-hour drive to our next fuel stop and camp near Ruakana. We found Umbalantu Baobab Camp on iOverlander, but there's very little info on it. I'm afraid this 580 kilometer stretch of the C45 is not very scenic. There are some nice sections, but most of it's surprisingly populated. Turns out Umbalantu is smack in the middle of town, so we quickly find an alternative, Okapika Camp near Ruakana.
Yeah, it's quite a quirky place. It's well run. It's a community camp, obviously, and you can see they actually care and they really look after the place. It is a bit strange. We're effectively camping in a kraal, but it's quite nice. We had barking geckos just now. We had some guinea fowl. But then you've got goats and donkeys obviously as well. But yeah.
The days are starting to blur together. Early mornings, late nights and lots of driving. We're up early again, but there's a renewed sense of excitement as it looks like we're finally hitting dirt today. I always plan our routes beforehand, but it's also good to get local advice as well. We've had a few conflicting reports on which roads to take to Ipupa though. We decide to stick to the D3700 after refueling at Ruakana, as we've had it with tarmac. Tracks for Africa estimates 3 hours to cover the 160 kilometers.
Angola's close, eh?
Yeah.
Our next fuel stop is some 900 kilometers away in Puros, so we're filling up extra.
Chris looks like he's fighting. Ed coming in at the end.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Fuel is not available everywhere in Kajakaland, so research fuel stops along your route beforehand. I do offer route planning assistance for top tier patrons as well if you need some help.
How's the driving been?
It's been tough. The actual road surfaces are really nice compared to other places we've been. You have to be careful for a lot of livestock, obviously. The driving is a bit so-so, so it's tough driving in that sense, and it's lots and lots of kilometers. We've done, 3,000 kilometers since we started. Yeah, so lots and lots of driving to get to the north of Namibia from South Africa.
You're looking forward to Kouakaveld?
Yes, I am. The road we've been traveling is albeit rural, is very populated. It's not very scenic. So I'm hoping to see some scenery.
This area is looking a lot more promising. We're excited to finally see the start of the dirt road in the distance. We're traveling all along the Kunene River and border with Angola. The scenery is surreal. Contrary to what we've been told, the roads are in pretty good condition as well. We do take some of the 4x4 offshoots to get closer to the river as well. Definitely take a moment to pause next to the river. Incidentally, our entire route's available to download as a GPX file on Patreon. This is the most beautiful place where reality seems completely unreal. A desert oasis. The moment you veer off from the river, it's like being on another planet. The kilometers are rolling by as we go deeper and deeper into the desert. This is a very unforgiving place, but at the same time, it feels amazing to be here. In the words of Louis L'Amour, you can't fight the desert, you have to ride with it. We reach Epupa after around 4 hours of amazing desert scenery. The falls is the first thing you see from the Epupa viewpoint. It's an awesome sight. We set up camp. It's very windy, but that does at least bring some relief from the immense heat. We're camped right on the edge of the Kunene and the view is stunning. Time for a quick meal and then it's off to bed. It's been a few tough days of driving.
We've reached Epupa Falls, quite a nice drive actually, a very nice gravel road. all along the Kunene River. We were told the road's really bad, but it was actually pretty good. There's some small 4x4 sections which you can get onto. Those are quite rocky, but very nice around the Kunene River. We're staying at the Umurunga campsite. There's 3 campsites here: the Kupa Community campsite, Kupa Falls Lodge, I think, campsite, and then Umurunga. All really nice on the river, and you can actually see the falls. Falls are spectacular. Have a look at this.
The Kunene River is truly a vein of life in this otherwise desolate place. The falls themselves might not be as massive as Vic Falls or the Agrabis, but what it lacks in stature it makes up for in mesmerizing beauty. The word Ipupa means foam in Herero, referring to the foam created by the falling water. Rushing water surrounded by red cliffs and ancient baobabs. Jagged rocks and fine spray with the non-stop roar of falling water. This place is amazing. Umurunga's campsites are fairly commercial and you're a bit on top of your neighbour, to be honest. It has really good shade though, and some of the sites have great river views. Sites have power, a braai, bins and a water tap.
Chris, good move on grabbing the camera. Well done.
Clever fella.
Very clever.
At Van Sales, I'm grabbing the camera.
Yeah, me too.
There's also a restaurant and bar with a nice river view. The pool is also a heaven sent in this heat. All the camps are in walking distance from the waterfalls. It's a great experience getting right up to the falls. It's not the easiest place to get to and it can get a little touristy, but I'd still recommend Ipupa Falls as a must-visit place in the Kohaku land. Coming up in the next episode, we head deeper into the Kohaku Veld for some of the most amazing landscapes I've ever seen. It also has some of the most treacherous roads I've ever driven. Special thank you to my patrons, crowdfunders and corporate sponsors for making this series a reality.